Coming up on Cruisin'.
These pre-production cars were all supposed to be crushed. They were sent out to dealers for promotional pictures and stuff.
Cruisin' starts right now. Sure, we all have a love affair with Mustangs, and these guys take it a little bit further. Joined with Nate and John Miller from the Buckeye. Guys, welcome to a very special Cruisin'. Guys, thanks for joining us all season. We've been watching you guys put these together, and now we're done. So why are we even talking to you now?
We're done here because we have two of the rarest Mustangs in existence, consecutive VIN numbers, 139 and 140, together since the Dearborn days 55 years ago.
Well, that's the thing. Most of us, hey, we just get excited with a Mustang. You guys have to take it further and not just get one, but two, and pre-production Mustangs. So these are really rare. How'd you get them?
These pre-production cars were all supposed to be crushed. They were sent out to dealers for promotional pictures and stuff.
So did you tie yourself to the Mustang so they couldn't crush it?
I should have, right?
It would have been cool.
Well, we have two.
Born then.
Hey, I wasn't even born.
Slacker.
But we have two valuable cars here, and with the consecutive unit number is very, very something unique. Okay, you don't see it anywhere, and like I said, this is the first time these have been together in 55 years. These cars started assembly in January of 1964. Date stampings go back to July of '63 on the parts. Very unique cars, lots of differences between this and production. We'll go into the details and stuff here too, but these restorations are full concours restorations. This is a Hilton Head Concours d'Elegance National winner. Okay,
I knew that, yeah.
This one in 2009. All right, and this one got invited to Hilton Head here in the next month in November. So we're excited to see how it does. We feel very confident about the tough judging competition down here. But these cars here are without a doubt some of the finest Mustangs ever restored.
What I found interesting, well, a lot of it is obviously, but you went to Henry Ford to see the one Mustang, which is actually newer than 139, 140.
Correct.
Tell me how this whole thing worked.
And I had a customer contact me in 2007 about it. He bought a Mustang and stuff, so we went and looked at it just for a paint job. Well, here was a pre-production Mustang. Never seen one, and so we started doing research on it. And from that time, we got special permission for the Henry Ford Museum, went there and took pictures, okay? They even charged us $800 back in 2008 to take pictures, okay? Fully documented. I have over 500 pictures of Mustang serial number 1, okay? What Mustang serial number 1 does is has a lot of production parts on it and some pre-production parts. But the curious part is on the radiator core support, which nobody knows and hasn't been documented, is a couple of people documented the left side of the core support, okay, if you're facing the car, the left side. Well, the right side is documented as well. Number 139 has a number 33 in the front. 140 has 41. And number 1 at the Henry Ford Museum has 84, okay?
Let's stop, because we talk about pre-production cars, and John, you were explaining is, things that are different or things that were just hammered down because they knew they weren't going to mass produce it.
Correct.
But, so how did these two end up getting saved instead of crushed?
Probably a Ford executive took it out. Okay, he got the title. For a matter of fact, it wasn't titled until
67.
67. Okay, so the family drove it. One family drove it for a number of years. How we got involved was just like my son said, he wanted a paint job. We're there looking at it, and it just didn't quite make sense. So we said, well, we'll take it for a paint job, but can we strip some of the paint off? And if it's nothing there, we'll just put it back the way it was. It's sure fine, go ahead and do what you want to do. Well, once we got into it, we said, this is completely different than any other Mustang we'd ever restored.
And what's unique on these cars too, these cars here, when they were built and test driving them, there was no washers. Okay, the washers for the pitman arm are so small, all right, on both of these cars, that it was ridiculous. They're pulling through the frame, subframe, okay? Number on 139 here, when we took it apart, they actually had washers they mounted a shim so it wouldn't quit pulling through for more test driving.
But what are some of the things that did not go from like the 39 into production?
Okay, the fenders, the quarter panels, all right? The wiring system, okay? This early 64 Mustangs up until August of 64 were all generator systems, okay? Well, this one here, the grounds are not integrated into the harness. On all pre-production cars, there are external ground wires. So everything is completely grounded different. The horn wires are different, the parking lights are different, the tail lights are different. It's just totally unique wiring system, 100% irreplaceable.
And the other thing is, This is actually, and I found it interesting just how small the measurements are, but this is a half-inch more narrow than one pre-production.
Correct.
And an inch shorter. That doesn't seem like much. Why the difference? Is there an explanation?
The sheet metal, probably. And if you look at it, the sheet metal is so crudely fit and poorly fit on these pre-production cars. All pre-production cars have leaded seams. The horses are more pronounced at an angle for whatever it was, for showing the the unique features of the car when it came out, or for photography stuff, I'd assume. But the eye even is in the horse as well. And even in 139 here, which was really, really unique, we couldn't save it in 130 and 140. We could not save the original carpet. Okay, the heel pad was so gone. Well, the heel pad in 139 is intact and sewed back into place in the NOS carpet we found for this car. Like I said, this is no expense spared restoration in both of these cars. Okay, these are all bucked at Allen Park. Okay, not Dearborn Assembly, but Allen Park, and they were final assembled at Dearborn, and that's when they got their VIN numbers. So this chassis on this Mustang 139 was built for #1 at the museum, as well as 140.
Right. And the reason that we can say that, basically, we did this research on #1.
And I'll give you a little history about #1 too. Okay, we had access to #1. Okay. And we had to make the quarter drains for 139 because the quarters were rotted out on 140. Right. Okay, so we had to use clay to form the quarter drains.
Right. Okay.
Because that's the only place we knew where to get the quarter drains from the measurement. So we measured out #1 completely.
Where these tops go down on a machine, on a production car, is machined on the top of the quarters. Okay, so the top goes down. Okay, and then on these two cars, it's smashed with a hammer. It all hit down so the tops would fit. Okay?
So in '64, the main tool was a hammer.
Yes.
That's right.
That's how they got it to fit.
To get stuff to fit. The other thing you might want to notice real quick, notice this top here, how it's bowed a
has some
bit.
bows to it, yes.
Some bows to it. This one here, the top of the forehead is completely flat.
Flat. So 140 has a flatter top than 139. Right.
I was going to say, just looking at these with my expertise, I was going to say the difference between 139 and 140 is black top, white top.
And rocker moldings on 140.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm just saying maybe you guys have a little bit of an issue with detail, but that's okay, because we're going to get back into these things, how they look now. We're going to get into how they looked before and how they got to this place. Stick around. More Cruisin's coming up. A very special edition of Cruisin' continues with Nate and John Miller. Pre-production Mustangs that are amazing, but weren't always that way. Did we get them about the same time? Which one did we get first?
140 we got in 2007, okay? It took us a year and a half to restore that car. And 139 we got last, I believe, spring, so it's been with us about a year and a half now. And we actually have that coming off the trailer. We filmed that for Cruisin' with the Buckeye guys, one episode.
139, you got it coming in. What did we have to attack first?
Documentation. We wanted the core support numbers, okay? And that's the key for the rotation numbers of the assembly line.
Correct.
Okay, these are the same, skid numbers on these cars are one number different, but the numbers we talked about earlier, this is 33, 41, and #1 at Henry Ford is 84.
What did you have to attack first? Okay, the documentation, but when you get into it, because the other thing about pre-production cars is, as cool as they are, I'm guessing parts are a little more different, because like you said, the biggest tool was a hammer and a torch.
Right, and on these cars too is a lot of handmade parts. Front valance, rear valance, stone shield, headlight buckets, hood. Okay, we're gonna get into the hood a little later too, because everybody thinks these pre-production cars have the wrong hood on them. What people don't know is Ford made an early version of the hood until a tooling problem cropped up and they had to change it.
Because of tools?
The tool got worn out, broke or whatever, so they had a tooling issue. And the early pre-production hoods, okay, they had no crush points and there were improved edges on it. Okay, so a normal 64.5 hood, you'll see the edges are straight down and they have crush points. So that's one thing that people don't understand about pre-production stuff is the date codes, the steel, the uniqueness does not lie. Okay, the history tells the car is the sheet metal. And all the details that we find unearthing the car. Car was never media blasted, so we just cleaned the grease off by hand and paint stripper, and we saw what was underneath there, documented it, reduplicated it with restoration techniques.
So when you're doing one of these cars, because you guys, you don't even know how many Mustangs you've done so many.
We've done a lot, and we've done 2 pre-production Mustangs, and like I said, you learn more and more about every time you do a car. but to do historical significance of these two cars is just unbelievable.
Well, and that's the question is, since you've done so many Mustangs, you bring that knowledge to this, but it's still kind of a different ballgame?
Oh, it's completely different, yes.
Completely different.
So, but what was the biggest challenge then with 139?
I had a lot of information when we did 140, so it didn't take as much research, okay? We just wanted the historical stuff of cleaning the car for photo documentation, which we got by cleaning it years ago.
This here was probably the dirtiest car we ever had come into the shop, right?
Yeah, it was dirty,
I
filthy.
don't know where it was at, and that's probably what helped.
It was a Colorado car. It was pretty preserved.
And you said, hey, Jeff, grab a rag.
That's right.
You're going to be busy for a year.
Yeah.
Whatever you touched was dirt. I mean, that's unbelievable. So I don't know where it was kept at, but...
So we're saying dirt was the biggest issue with 139. What about 140?
It was dirty too.
Yeah, but not like, it was a dry...
But what was
this had a lot of undercoating on it, which was a problem.
Right.
The undercoating, and what else were the bigger challenges of 140?
No one was ever restored like 140, okay? It was the first one ever restored, Concours correct, national winner, okay? 139 here will be the second. And like I said, these are two very high-end restorations.
At what point during the process were you in either car where you're like, I'm done, I've had it with this?
Huh?
Not
you know
really.
what it is? It's the
unique.
uniqueness in talking about the cars when you're at a show.
Yep.
Because
totally unique, you know.
yeah, because people don't know about them, and they'll sit there and argue with you. But you know, it's just fun talking about them. You know, because it's like the hoods. They always say the hoods are wrong. So.
All right. So after you get done with these two cars, then what's next?
Never know.
Never know. You know, bring some other pre-production car, we can do it for sure and get it all buttoned up. You know, how many are left out there? There's a handful now. You know, who's to say?
You think we've covered everything? Oh no, there is so much more than washers. There's the hood, there are lead seams, and a ton more. Stick with Cruisin'. We're coming right back. A very special edition of Cruisin' continues with Nate and John Miller and two pre-production Mustangs, number 139, 140.
You take your car to a national show, every car looks good on the outside, they all look pretty good on the bottom. You know where you win and lose the points? Is in the engine compartment. This is where everything is won and lost between the gold, silver, bronze, it's all done here. This is where the most points are deducted, and this is what makes the whole restoration. Pop the hood.
But I would think, like, isn't it pretty standard? You take it off, you paint it, and you stick it back on.
There's a lot of work that goes into detailing an engine compartment. You could have as much time detailing an engine compartment as painting the outside of the car and body work.
So what's the toughest part about doing the engine?
Well, let's talk about the hoods here real quick, okay? That's what I'm talking about, okay?
The hardest thing really is putting the engine in the engine compartment that's all painted.
That's right, that's the
That is the
hard
hardest part without putting a scratch in it. So.
But anyhow.
We were talking about hoods earlier.
The hoods, that's right. Okay, no crush points on the front of the hood. Now, our production 64 hood will have crush points here, here, and on that side, okay? And the edge here would be folded like this on a later 64 style hood.
To match up with the
bevels here.
Gotcha.
bevels, yeah,
Okay.
bevels there.
Well, this is the original hood, dated 12/63, folded bevels, and no crush points. Very, very hard hood to find. It was on a couple of the early production cars that started on March 9th, okay, at 64, until the tooling ran out of the stamping. Other instances that are really unique here too. The fenders are different. They have these tabs here that stop the fenders from going anyplace else. It was an alignment tool. Headlight buckets are different. The air cleaners are like a robin egg blue valve covers. But I mean, look how detailed this is. These correct bolts here for this Mustang number 139, these are all media blasted, phosphated, and then put back on, restored fully.
And I think another thing we were talking about getting away from the leaded seams.
Yes, we'll open the door here and we'll show the leaded seams. In concours judging, you have some imperfections. This is a pre-production car because the sheet metal didn't fit well. You have leaded seams everywhere from the A pillar to the B pillar. This is all lead. So it's pretty unique. Production did not have it. And actually too, we created some runs here in the door jamb area just so it'd be authentic as how the factory had done it, because these were hand painted at Allen Park. We have the carpet in there with the original heel pad we restored. NOS carpeting, of course, too, because for the judging, you have to have the hook and loop and, or the, what do you call that, pile and whatever it is. But they don't reproduce it today.
And then you're also saying, were you saying that this, when they produced it, they brought it in?
Well, the angle of the grill here, too.
The angle of the grill is probably about 1.5 inches further out than a production car. It's actually flatter across here. And we really didn't notice right away. We actually had the car done for, what, 6 months?
Yep.
We have some lifts where we store these places at, and this car was up on a lift, and my wife's car was up on a lift. So here's a 64.5 also. When it was up on a lift, you could see the difference on this part here. So then we put a straight edge on it with a level, and it's about 1.5 inches difference.
These are two historical cars, and some of the earliest Mustangs ever built are right in front of us here. You can't beat this up at all. This car here, this car is too expensive to take off and drive.
Thanks for staying with us. We're having a great time with cruising as we check out the two prototype Mustangs with the Buckeye guys, Nate and John. And of course, naturally, before we go, you had to pop open the trunk because that's where you're sticking me.
Oh yeah, you're going in the trunk.
Right.
I get that a lot. What's special about that?
The leaded seams is just, you know, so unique here. It's all lead, as we'd like the door seams.
Even this is leaded here.
Now, you guys, I mean, we've spent so much time talking about these two cars, and obviously you kind of, as much as the frustrations there are in doing work like this, the enthusiasm, you can tell the passion coming out as you talk about it, but what about the other stuff you guys are doing? I mean, it's more than just prototypes,
we do all
right?
types of cars, you know, a lot of classic stuff. And you know, trucks right now are just so big, and the Broncos are probably the biggest thing out there. You know why the Broncos are so big? Because you can take it off-road and beat it up. You can't beat this up at all. This car here, this car is too expensive to take off and drive. Even though they're putting, you know, a couple of bills in a Bronco, they take them off-road and they have fun with them. They put snorkels on them and take them to the river. They do all stuff like that. But you know, anything we can do, we're always looking for, you know, high-end work because we put our name on it. And when our name's on it, it's gonna be right.
Well, and that's the thing, and you look at these, obviously these are done right, and you put so much time and love into these cars. After doing something like this, is it easy to get excited about like a more routine one?
You know, every car is different, and it all comes down to what the customer wants to spend, okay? 139 here, 140, they had no budget, okay? So they wanted the best of the best. You have two of the best cars here. And when you do that, no budget, you get some of the best restoration, best custom cars, best trucks in the world when there's no budget. Because it's so hard to forecast what it's going to take to do a car. And that's the honest truth. Even paint jobs, you don't know what a paint job is really going to cost you until it's stripped and see how much rust is on the car.
How many years guys been doing this?
Oh, probably since I started this in 2004 as a full-time business. But I actually started in 1992 at Al's Mustang in Niles, Ohio. And that's where I learned all this
16.
Mustang stuff. Yeah, so.
We want to restore a Mustang. There's this little quick story.
And he has to exaggerate though, but you know.
Baloney. Anyways, what happened was he wanted to restore a Mustang because we had an original Mustang. My wife had it graduated from high school. But anyways, Al's Mustang, who we knew, she takes him down there. There was a fastback there. Al wanted $5,000 for it.
Right.
Something like that. But anyways, my wife said, well, that's a little pricey, but I'll buy it. So she bought it. She says, the only problem is you got to teach him how to do it. And Al says, well, how come your husband won't help him? So all fathers and sons, daughters and mothers, all they do is fight. So
I would have never guessed that.
So you can teach him. So he started going down there. He played football for Boardman High School here. And once that season was over, we just started going down after school, Saturdays and Sundays.
I never studied, I just studied car stuff, you know. But I got a Mount Union degree. I had to plug Mount Union College, you know.
Is there anything you're not going to plug
I got a degree from Mount Union, and I play with cars. Come on now.
Science.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
Computer science?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Which is why you go to the cars that don't have the computer.
Yeah, so I got a $100,000 degree back in the day, and I play with cars. So tell me I didn't use that at all.
Look at the pride.
That's right, yeah, that's right. Could have saved a lot of money just by buying them in a garage back in the day and been done with it.
So anyway, you've been doing it since the 90s.
Correct.
It would be easy to be like, I'm done with this. What keeps you going?
It's the problems that crop up today, and they're changing all the time. And what's going on now in the restoration world, classic car world, is the parts anymore are so bad. No matter who you get them from, it's 3 or 4 times you got to change a part out before you get a good one. It's just a challenge it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. And you know, these cars are 50 years old, stuff's it's not made to spec. You might get 3 uses out of it, just like a pull start for a lawnmower, it might last you twice, you know, who knows in today's world. But you always have to maintain these cars. So these guys with the large collections of cars, they actually have caretakers for the cars. What people are doing right now, they're leaving gas in the cars, eats the carburetor gaskets. You know, that's the biggest thing you see anymore.
Right.
We want to thank you guys so much, not just for today, but for being a part of Cruising all season. And I appreciate you letting me join the team.
Yeah, sure. And you know what? Give us a call for your restoration needs, muscle car needs, you know, engine swaps, truck, whatever you want, we can do at Buckeye Classic Car Restoration. 330-533-4757, BuckeyeResto.com.
Once again, we want to thank Nate and John and everyone with the Buckeye guys, not just for today, but for being a part of Cruising for so long. And of course, thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Barranque. We'll see you again on the next Cruising. Have a great day. Oh, that sounds great. To those, yeah.
Just to the yellow line, yellow dot. I mean the red dot.
That's green.
Green, whatever.
Hey, we're rolling.
Yep.
Did I ever tell you that I used to be a stunt driver?
Yep. Stall that. Got to give it more gas here. Brand new car, you know.
I was trying to be gentle.
Okay.
You got to criticize me?
Yep.
It's like you're Nate.
There we go.
Did I ever tell you about my stunt driving days?
Nope.